And welcome back, everyone, to Wizard of Legend on Rocket Rabbit Commentaries. And in this episode, we skipped over a bunch of grinding. We now have got, we actually have all of the offensive relics purchased. So what we're going to be showing off in this run specifically is the Neve's Ruby run. We have all the defensive relics as well. And so the Neve Gemstones. The Neve Gemstones all have a very specific super effects if you manage to meet their activation conditions, and there's even graphical effects for them too, which is why we're going to attempt to show them off. For Neve's Ruby, you are supposed to run a full complement of Fire Arcana, so that's what we're going to try and do. I also want to show off that we have successfully managed to buy about half of all the Arcana in the game. We still don't have anywhere near half all of the Chaos Arcana, sadly, because we've got well more than half of all the normal Arcana in the game. But the Chaos Arcana we're actually still quite a ways away from. But one of the big Chaos Arcana that we have is actually the Chaos Reaper, and that is something that I will be showing off a bit later. Yes, off screen I did a bunch of grinding in order to get effectively nearly all of the available cloaks, as well as all of the available relics that I can purchase. And from here, I'm trying to figure out what cloak that I want to run. For fire, I'm probably just going to stick with rule, because higher damage and higher armor is usually pretty nice.
So you're saying that if any one of your 7 Arcana slots was non-fire, that you would not get the maximized benefit?
That is correct. Which is why starting a run with the Neve Gems ends up hurting your early game quite a bit. But if you can successfully get everything, if you can successfully get all of the correct Arcana in order to activate them, the steroids that you get are nuts. Neve's Ruby specifically gives you a flat 20% damage increase, which if you're running most of the higher damage Fire Arcana, which a good portion of the Fire Arcana are very high damage, you end up being able to not necessarily one-shot everything, but very closely one-shot everything with Exploding Fireball. And remember, Exploding Fireball has actually got a relatively low cooldown, so I mean, I don't think you'd be able to one-shot these Crush Colossi with the Exploding Fireball, but it would be very close.
So you get all the benefits, but none of the drawbacks.
Well, there aren't. The big drawback for the Neve Gems is specifically that they actually have got a very difficult to fulfill activation condition. You need to have all 7 of your Arcana slots tied to their specific element. For Neve's Ruby, it's fire. Okay.
Hey, you, Pinata. You look vulnerable.
Well, he's not vulnerable enough yet, sadly, so.
Fool! You tried to defeat me! You can't do this unless you use the correct attack!
Well, not the correct attack, actually. You have to sequence your attacks correctly. And sequencing your attacks correctly is something that I have always struggled with when it comes to the higher damage Arcana in the game. You'll notice that I'm actually leaning quite a bit on Bouncing Fireball as well, because Bouncing Fireball does a shitload of knockback as well as a sizable amount of damage with its basic combo. So what I'm attempting to do is, get into the face of my enemies, then bounce them away from me, so that I can, finish them with Exploding Fireball. And then I use Blazing Larry in order to get close, and then Bouncing Fireball in order to have them back off, so that I can, attempt to finish them off with a high damage spell. It's why I really dislike a good portion of the fire dashes, because the fire dashes themselves end up being not really all that synergistic with pretty much any of the fire strategies that I would normally use. Like the one that we've got right now releases 3 homing flares in the direction that we're facing, which sounds like it would be really cool, except because they release in the direction that we're facing, they end up firing extremely slowly.
Well, because it takes time to point your character in the right direction so that you're firing the projectiles in the right direction.
Right.
Very slow indeed. Time. Yes. Like running speed. Dashing speed. Damage per second. Health remaining. Number of enemies on the battlefield. All of these things will concern time.
I will say it's nice that our dash actually is virtually guaranteed to inflict burn, but as we'll see, burn isn't honestly a really useful status element to have. Although it does actually inflict damage faster than poison does, it not only does it deal less damage, it only really inflicts damage, which is a small problem because although poison also only inflicts damage, it means you usually don't have access to the other elemental status elements.
Running a little low on health there.
Yes, this is one of the problems that I actually have running any of the Neve gems. I don't really have high enough damage or defensive survivability in order to actually deal with the early encounters as much as easily as I would like.
So what we're trying to do is survive the early game so that when you get to mid game and late game, then you get to enjoy the benefits of having what you got.
Yeah.
Well, that's a freaking familiar game problem if I've ever heard one. That some parts of the game, but whatever game you're playing, some parts of the game are going to feel unnecessarily difficult based solely on your strategy of approach.
I have to skip over the Lightning Arcana because it's not what we're doing this run. Yeah.
It's too bad that you have to wear, like, cloak-type clothing. You can't put on, like, a chef's jacket or put on, like, plumbing gear like Mario. Or, I mean, I suppose this is very close to the Link tunic. Except Link doesn't have a cape. I thought a chef's jacket would be appropriate because we're using Fire Arcana and things tend to cook when you apply heat to them. So really what we're doing is not so much video game strategy, we are applying a recipe.
And unfortunately, the Arcana that the Strafe Archer dropped was a Dash Arcana, so I can't really pick that one up. Yeah.
Well, I thought the idea is we're not supposed to touch any of Arcana because if you so much as remove any of the fire, then you lose the benefit of the Neve's jewels.
Ah, Cloud, how many Arcana do we have?
I don't know, man.
We have 4 Arcana at the moment, Cloud.
Oh, so we still need the other 3 then?
Yes.
But I thought, I guess we'll have to try our luck because this is a randomized game.
Thankfully, we did manage to pick up Blazing Onslaught there, which is a pretty decent fire Arcana. It's not one that I'm good with, but it is actually really good. It on its own is actually pretty good. Allows us to dash around the arena, figure out what we want, figure out who we want to focus damage on first, and get out of harm's way supposedly.
So we had only 4 Fire Arcana. We just got a 5th, so now there are only 2 left.
Yes.
That we have to get. Okay. And the game, thankfully, is not going to give us duplicates of the same Arcana we already have.
It will do so in the shops, actually, specifically in order for us to buy enhancements.
Right, in the shops, but not during randomized loot drops.
I'm pretty sure you can't get. The duplications for loot drops, but I'm not entirely certain about that. Mostly because there are, what is it? 30. There are 30-ish, like 35-ish different Arcana for each element. So, with the exception of Chaos, which only has, I think, 24.
Chaos. Okay, now the first step is use your Fire Arcana, repel your enemies for 5 seconds, then switch to your Broil Arcana, put it in the oven, toast that cheese till it's golden brown, and then kill them.
But we're not running Heroic Leap.
We're going to make something delicious like victory.
Well, that is the hope, at least.
For hunger is the enemy, and my food is my triumph.
Let's see. Are we gonna actually enhance? Are we gonna enhance our searing dash? Not yet. This is one of the reasons why I don't actually like Onslaught, to be perfectly honest. The fact that you get a relatively powerful forward dash is nice, but against any enemies that have decent melee attack delays, like the Chaos Spearmen and the Chaos Swordsmans, you usually end up if you miss your dash specifically, you end up on such a lengthy cooldown that you usually end up taking some melee damage either from your target or from the targets around them.
Sounds like some punishing difficulty.
Yeah, Annotations Gerdat is mentioning here that Blazing Lariat is one of the bigger flaws that I ended up picking up on, specifically because much like a big thing that I really dislike in League of Legends, Wizard of Legend does actually have channel time for some of its bigger spells, and it's not really clear what the channel time for those bigger spells are. So if you get interrupted, not only does it go on cooldown, you will still do the channel action, and that can totally fuck you up with what your plan of action actually is prior to its detonation.
Therein lies the punishment element, is you should have just done the right command at the right time.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why I gave up on doing 100% runs in Guitar Hero is I just accept some probability of making mistakes, and no, I really don't feel like restarting the songs this time, so I can get my 1,000 note streak. In what's that 7.5 minute long song they put in Guitar Hero World Tour, Stranglehold by Ted Nugent, where all you're doing is the same fucking bass line for 8 minutes straight, and if you miss so much as one note, then you're gonna snap your streak and you have to start all over again.
I thought no, it was Guitar Hero Live that actually allowed you to pick up your own MTV music videos.
Wow. It was Guitar Hero 2 as modded on PS2 that people long time ago realized how to mod so they can add any track they want, complete with a note board.
They actually figured that out for Guitar Hero 1 and 3. I'm not entirely sure if they even needed to mod it for 3 because
no, it's a mod.
I thought 3 actually allowed you to, add songs through a peripheral.
No, you're thinking of Guitar Hero Worlds. Both Guitar Hero World Tour and Guitar Hero 5 had Music Studio. They dropped the Music Studio feature as of Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock. They decided that it just was not worth it.
Thankfully, we ended up fighting Thunder Twins first in this run, so I don't have to deal with them later.
Nice. Together, you are weak. I will defeat you both.
So the actual way to dodge this specific attack, where they bring out the lightning mimic, is you're supposed to treat it exactly like Freya's cascade of snowflakes, where where if you start at one edge of the map and just slowly walk around, you'll always be slightly ahead of where the next attack is. So it's very nice. Thunder Twins are down, and they did not drop a Fire Arcana. Damn it! Be safe, everybody.